costume department and we're just going to enter into the ladies' changing room. Here you can see some of the costumes that we use at the palace. Lots of underpinnings and linens. Here, this is one of our Henry VIII costumes. This is what we call the Polish gown. That's something from Henry's later years. This is a more recent commission that we use for Christmas at the palace. This is a gown based on the Ditchley portrait of Elizabeth I. There are almost 20 pieces that go into making the costume, and it took her 40 minutes to put on. We had a team of 4 people working on it, and it took about 3 months to produce. So this is the gown, petticoat, and as you can see, it's really heavily embellished with pearls and gold, what we call ouches, that were all specially commissioned for the gown. The bodice comes in 4 pieces, because you have the main bodice and then separate sleeves, and then over that we have an overgown with hanging sleeves as well. Under all those layers you also have the underpinnings, so we have 2 different style farthingales and a padded roll underneath, as well as her set of stays. And then to finish off, we have a beautiful handmade ruff and a halo frame as well. So the costumes are worn by a team of live interpreters. We try and make the clothing as close as possible to what we know about original items. It's very difficult because not a lot of information is known about them. Very little survives, certainly not in this country. There are some Italian examples that we have studied the records of. We look a lot at portraits, sculptures, inventories, wills, so we try and use a variety of sources. So for example, from portraits you can gain an idea of fabrics, colours, styles. So as you can see, again, more layers. So she would have her full kirtle underneath and her 4-part and 4 sleeves, and then the French gown over the top. This will be finished off with various styles of headwear, particularly for this gown, a French hood, girdles worn at the waist, and also shoes.
This room is predominantly archaeology, so all these boxes here contain archaeology from across all our historical palace sites, including the Tower of London. So these have all been catalogued and organised, and they're on our system, so we know exactly what we've got. But we've got an array of objects here from the prehistoric period, so we've got sort of flint work, all the way up to sort of 20th century, but predominantly the archaeology is sort of mainly sort of medieval period. So here today we've got a leather mache roundel. This is actually from the Great Watching Chamber at Hampton Court Palace. Basically, when Henry took over Hampton Court in the 1530s, he did a lot of building work, and one of the main things he wanted to do was sort of redecorate it and sort of glamorise the palace, basically. And before his wedding to Jane Seymour in sort of 1536, it was quite a rush to sort of get things finalised, and he decorated the ceiling in the Great Watching Chamber with these roundels. And to make it sort of a speedy process, they use this quite interesting technique, and it's basically sort of pushing leather mache into a mould. So it's like putting all the sort of bits of leather and animal fats and things to sort of create this effect. So it's almost sort of looks like stonework or carved wood, but it's basically sort of a cheap and quick way of sort of decorating it.